people have been a part of a sports team, a club, or any organization that was involved with fundraising at one point in time? Just about everyone, would I assume. So as you know, fundraising can be very difficult and you can't always achieve the results that you want. So we decided to create Spare the Change, crowdfunding for a cause. I was going to run over the agenda real quick. We're going to introduce the team, go over the company overview, give you guys the problem and the solution, and then we're going to talk about the market and finish with the future. So I'm Shane Budd. I'm from Pembroke, Mass. I'm a finance and entrepreneurship major. Growing up my whole life, I always played hockey, and every year we would take a team trip to Lake Placid, New York. In the last 3 years of my Might and Squirt career, which is a very good career, I might add, we weren't able to go on the trip because we weren't able to raise enough money. But if we had something like Spare the Change, we would have appealed to more people, and we would have been able to maybe go on that trip.
And I'm Tim Perrier. I'm a finance and entrepreneurship major also. Like Shane was saying, I played a lot of sports growing up also. We had the same predicament with our AU basketball team. There were multiple tournaments that we weren't able to attend because we had trouble funding for them. So Spare the Change definitely would have solved that problem.
I'm Marty Gorman. I'm a marketing and entrepreneurship major. And like an unfortunate case, like I'm sure it's relevant to a lot of your lives, you know a family member, a close friend who gets sick with cancer or some sort of disease. And that can be very costly. You know, the community tries to rally together, t-shirt sales, you know, food drives and things like that. So Spare the Change would be another platform that could really help out a whole town, really bring someone together.
Matt Wences. I'm a finance and entrepreneurial major, and I'm from Marshfield, Mass. And growing up by the beach, we see a lot of the harsh winters. I'm sure all of you know, right now there's a lot of problems going on with flood insurance and FEMA and those things. It's a lot of controversies. So you see the beach getting wrecked, the seawall getting wrecked, houses getting destroyed, families losing their homes, and a lot of the time they don't have funding or any insurance to cover it. So I think this would be a great solution to that problem as well.
All right, so the Checkout Charity is a huge market. There was over $358 million worth of donations in 2012. Most people are willing to help out and donate, but they don't always know how. That's why Spare the Change wants to help drive donations on a local level while also appealing to those in need on a national level. For example, if anything like Hurricane Katrina were to happen again, we at Spare the Change, we could set it up so that all payments on that day, that week, that month go to relief for that disaster.
So we've been talking about how great it is. You're probably wondering, what is Spare the Change? So we're going to get into that. So the problem that we're trying to solve is kind of two-sided. Like we said, we have all the organizations that are looking to raise money, achieve their fundraising goals and things like that. And then on the other side, you have, you know, your everyday community member who's looking to donate and looking to make a difference. But will a few dollars to the American Cancer Society make a big difference? Yes, it will. But you know, that money could also go towards local causes like, you know, your child's youth sport program, the band, the theater, and you know, the nature parks and recreation. So the solution would be implementing donation facilitation software through mobile pay. 2016 is going to be the year of mobile pay. It's going to absolutely explode, and we think that we can really capitalize on that. And by giving community members the opportunity to kick back some of their change, in a simple act of kindness, you can really make a significant difference. So how Spare the Change is going to work is organizations would sign up with us, filling out a brief application on who they are, where they come from, and what they hope to achieve with their fundraising. And then from there, on a localized level, so you have Joe from the town of Pleasantville. So it's middle of the day, Joe runs into XYZ Convenience, he grabs a midday snack, he goes to check out and pay with his mobile phone, his bill is $2.64, and Joe sees that today's Spare Change is going to go towards Pleasantville Pop Warner football. And you know, fortunate enough for Joe in Pleasantville Pop Warner, Joe grew up playing football, so he'd be happy to kick back, you know, a measly 36 cents to help out that program. And Joe's contribution, along with you know all the transactions in the town of Pleasantville for that day, will go towards Pleasantville football. So you know, a small act of kindness from Joe, and you know, hundreds and hundreds of other community members, you can accumulate a significant amount of money that really will help out the organization. And the result, Joe will see on his phone in a couple weeks, Pleasantville got their new equipment, they're ready for the season, they're fired up to play. And, you know, he can engage, they're saying thank you, and Joe can see that his money really did make a difference, as well as the rest of the community.
All right, so in regards to the market that we'll be attacking, you can see Americans donated over $300 billion in 2013, only 6% coming from corporations, so leaving 94% from the American citizens. which that's obviously a lot of money and shows Americans are willing and able to donate. And with this program, things will only be more convenient, much easier, and you're obviously much more likely to donate if you know the community that you're going to, that it's donating to. So 63 nationwide checkout charities brought in $358 million. So just the ease of it, the convenience, just makes people way much more likely to donate.
Another thing is like it's really less intrusive because like today you might run into Rite Aid and buy something and there's people in line behind you and the cashier puts you on the spot. Oh, would you like to donate to, American Cancer Society? And you might have a lot going on and you might feel nervous about the people seeing behind you whether or not you're going to say yes to donate. So this, you kind of do it on your own on the phone. It's less intrusive and it's just more personal.
All right, so some projections that we made and that we also found. We believe that developing the mobile software will cost approximately $10,000, or we could hire an engineering team to put it together for us. And then statistic we found, like Marty was mentioned earlier, mobile payments are going to explode in 2016. They're expecting to be $563 billion, so that's a huge market to tackle. So if we captured just 15% of that number was captured by us, if they spread the change, that would lead us to $84.5 billion. Mind you, that's not the change that's getting kicked back. That's just the overall percentage of it, so we'd be getting a portion of that.
Alright, so future, how we plan to kind of go about the future. Mobile pay, like I said, is going to explode in 2016. And by 2019, it's supposed to be up to $818 billion, which is about 15% of the U.S. total payments, which is pretty crazy to think about, how everything's going mobile, and we would like to capitalize on that. We kind of want to start going to our local towns, places we know, places we can have an impact on before we expand. We eventually want to go all around the U.S. and stay domestic, and I think eventually going international would be awesome. And I think, especially if there's a big natural disaster, we can make an impact on that eventually once we have a brand name and image.
That's it. Any questions?
So when you said Joe goes to get his midday snack and it comes to $2.64, so 36 cents, is
Yeah.
that all you're asking for? It's just
That's all.
round up to the next
Right.
dollar?
Yeah, that's all we're asking for.
Just not a buck on top of that, or
Well, yeah, you can certainly incorporate that option very easily into a mobile application, but I
right?
think to start, we just want to give people the power to make one small, simple act of kindness, and if you get a whole community behind that, every day they're contributing. You can help out so many organizations who don't need millions and millions of dollars, but if they can raise $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, that makes a huge impact on their program.
Are any of you software people, and have you looked at, or if you're a person in your team who is, has he looked into what you have to do to let this lie on top of Apple Pay or whatever the other mobile app is?
Sure. So I guess a competitor that's in the market is Acorn. You might be familiar with it. They round up your spare change and invest it, which is great. And how that works is they link up with just your debit or credit card. So once you make those purchases, it's set to go through and into the Acorn app from your debit and credit card. So you're not necessarily teaming up with the stores or overlapping with Apple Pay. It's just setting up a payment feature,
You're specifically looking at the mobile.
Right, correct.
Okay.
That's the platform for distribution, so people are going to pay with their phone, and then on their screen will pop up with the opportunity to donate, but in the background it's just a link between our company and our organizations and their debit and credit card
And
company.
you don't need Apple's approval or help or assistance?
No, I mean, Apple, they release a developing kit for their mobile play, and Samsung and other use near field communication, so it's very open source and very easily.
So there'll be more than one choice.
Yeah, well, we thought to start, the platform is going to be building slowly, so rather than having a bunch of different ones in one day that people can donate to, you might only say generate $6 for something.
Yeah,
That's
but
not as powerful.
See, I don't know, in New York, it's you go to the same store 5 times a day, and they ask you just what you said. Do you want? I said, I just donated. How many more
Right.
times do you want me to donate the same
Right.
stuff the same day?
Sure.
So that's why I was asking. It's if you already donated to the Wildcat marching band,
Mhm.
and then you're going to another store, and I get, does it does it already knows that you already did it, and maybe it doesn't pop up again, or is it gonna pop up every time I use my mobile pay on that particular day? Because we use it more than once.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could easily implement different settings and
Okay.
preferences for a user to, I want to donate a maximum possibly of 3 times a day, maybe not even, maybe more, maybe
So,
less.
the other question is, how do you make the money? You guys didn't even say how much money you need to design this, how much money is it gonna cost you, then how much you're gonna make,
Right.
what your returns,
So
you know.
we thought that cash, so there's 4 of us, we were gonna collect 4% of all donations just to help keep operating costs, and we're really in it just to help young kids and other organizations that are raising money, because that's something that we were doing our whole lives.
And how much is that 4%, like the first year? Do you have financials? I didn't see if you had them in the back here.
No.
You had a number, you thought it was going to go mobile, and you thought you could get 15%. If you get that,
Well-
what does that translate into, right?
Yeah, so
Just trying to get a handle on it.
right, so
like, is there a
4% of that
value?
300 million that we projected for the mobile payment, I mean, that's $14 million, which is a lot of money. But it's tough to gauge because you don't know necessarily how much change you're going to be receiving from each transaction, so you could estimate that, but our main focus being early stage is we wanted to get the software out and just start attracting users, because the real gain is once you have mass adoption and hundreds and even thousands of members in the same community donating, that's when you're going to achieve your best results.
Yeah, we also wanted to go in with like a low-cost marketing strategy, kind of word of mouth, guerrilla marketing, social media, things like that, where we don't have to spend a lot of money on. So we don't really want that being a major expense either that we have to cover.
Can you tell me why the data behind the, it's going to explode in 2016?
So mobile pay is it's existing right now, but most stores are lagging behind in the technology needed to facilitate that, like the touch and go and things like that. Paul College recently just added tap and go, which is a tap your phone and pay feature. So as all businesses come up to speed with that technology, which is going to be assumed to be done by the end of 2015, then in 2016 everybody in their smartphone will be able to tap and go and not have to pull out and funnel through their wallet for their cards and things like that.
I think it's a very interesting idea, but I think you guys really need to focus on the financial side of it. You really do. I mean, if you're looking for someone to invest, for example, you have to be pretty clear on what you need, how much you need, the burn rate of that, when when's your cash flow break even, when's your profitability, or positive cash flow, and then break even for profitability. If you're going to run it as a real business, you should look at it as a real business.
Right.
But I think the concept is I would do that, because I can't stand when they keep asking me to donate when I did it 3 times the same day. At least this, I could just say no, in private.
Or even shut off.
And I love that idea, because I would do it.
Is there any IP here, or are you stepping on somebody else's IP?
Well, so I think the way we think it's going to work is it's just creating that relationship between our app and your bank and debit card. So that's not anything that's new. There's Venmo, which allows me to send money from my phone to Matt's phone. And so essentially that's all you're doing. None of this is proprietary. It's just existing technology that's...
So it's only first mover is the way you can succeed.
Yeah, sure, first mover, exactly.
Is there a cost that you're going to have?
Just development and...
When you take 36 cents from me from the roundup and give it to her, how much does somebody get? Other than your 4%.
Other than our 4%, we don't foresee any cost. Similar apps such as Venmo and Acorn that are going on, there isn't a percentage that's taken out by the bank, if that's what you're asking. Not that we are aware of.
The approval process is somebody submits an application, because you don't want people just lining
Right,
their own
that's
pockets
good.
with some fake organization,
Sure.
right?
Right. So starting in our hometowns, obviously we're pretty connected around there. We know what's going on, who's involved in what. But from there, yeah, just an application, and even if you ask them to submit a short video, that adds some legitimacy to it. But if it's a sports program or a school band or something like that, you should be able to gauge the legitimacy of it.
But you
it's
don't know
definitely
what they're going to do with it. I mean, I can sit there and say, I'm going to buy new uniforms, but how do you know?
Right. Well, I mean, we'd love to be engaged in the people that we're helping. So, if they're saying, yeah, these are the uniforms that we want, well, maybe, once they raise that money, we'll work with them to help them make the uniforms.
Yeah.
And
Well, when
maybe
it's
even
small
be there.
scale, but how do you figure that out?
That's something we might have to
Scale.
work with, like contracts or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll have to
Okay.
look into that. Probably.
There's always going to be people trying to take advantage of the system, which is unfortunate, but that's definitely
presumably these are charitable contributions. And
Correct.
if I'm doing it all year long, it's gonna add up to be
Absolutely,
money.
yeah.
Do you figured out a way, are you considering, at the end of the year, I get a statement from my tax guy to say, hey, Mike put in $38.14,
Yeah.
so he gets a tax break?
Yeah, so all your transactions would be recorded within the app, and you can look at your history of who you donated to, maybe even check in on some of those. And like you said, it'd definitely be able to keep a running total of how much you've contributed and when, which will be very valuable when doing those tax returns.
And also, like, it wouldn't have, sorry to interrupt, it wouldn't be like every single time, like, you can accumulate your weekly cents like you do when it transfers to your bank. So you wouldn't have to just donate every time. You could take your weekly savings that the change rounded up to as well, so it's not just every single time.
So what have you projected what your startup costs are to develop the app and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we figured around $10K for development because like payment is like pretty well researched and like software development. So we figure just like a developer who has some experience should be able to code this without too much trouble. And then from
Most
there,
at work, we figured $20K for an app.
20K. Yeah, hopefully, or maybe someone in our age group who's just in the computer science group should be able to do something like this. We figured, so you can kind of get it at a lower cost.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, what's great is that the people who want to raise money are going to act as advocates for our company because they're going to be reaching out to as many people as they know to hop on the app and use it on a regular basis. So our marketing costs can be pretty low, and those advocates combined with various guerrilla marketing tactics will be a great way to promote ourselves.
Yeah, well, if you can get email addresses from the people who are donating, then you have a whole database
Right.
that has value to someone.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like the amount of numbers involved in the platform in terms of people.
Because they have to sign up for the app, right?
Yeah,
So
that
you're
adds a lot of value.
capturing some vital data that can benefit
I'm
you.
opting out.
What's that?
Yeah, I said I'm opting out. I have to give you my email address.
No, we have to do that, right? We have to give you an option, but there's
Right.
people that want to,
Right.
that don't want.
If you want a charitable contribution letter. at the end
That's
of the
right,
year,
that's
gotta
right.
get it.
You gotta get it, yeah.
Anyway, you should be thinking beyond, generating additional revenue. I've been saying that throughout
No,
this
yeah,
whole
well,
thing.
yeah, it's huge.
We'll have a rewards program.
Yeah,
right?
we were thinking
You just
about
donated
before that.
10,
Yeah.
to say $1,000 this year, Mr. Spira. So because of that, you could work with these organizations to get. It's like the PBS TV, right? Where if you donate $50, they give you a John Denver CD or something. But
That's a good idea.
you guys probably don't even know who John Denver is, right?
A reward system was an idea we definitely thought of, like, especially tracking people's, like, payments throughout the year if they reach a certain amount.
So, but I mean, that would little incentive for
Yeah.
the.
Yeah.
So if you're wildly successful and really knock the ball in the park, how big a business can this be? What's the revenue to you guys?
Well, like we had that $300 billion that we projected for 2016 mobile pay.
Mobile pay.
So 5%, I guess it's tough to project. I really don't have a solid number.
So
but you might have.
your revenue would be the pennies that are left over, so
Mhm.
Right.
maybe 3% of that, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3% of 300 billion is
it's going to be around 10.
10 billion,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna have 4% of that. So that's $400 million.
Yep.
Gee, I'm not gonna work for you guys.
Yeah.
There's definitely some more costs we have to take into account, things along those lines, but.
Okay, your maintenance of the app, I mean,
Yeah.
technology
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah, but what's great is just the amount of numbers that we can attract in such a short time with the mobile pay. I mean, we have access to the whole nation as soon as that technology exists, which is going to be very soon.
Yeah.
Now, if you talk to, will people sign up? Not the people, I mean, these groups, or have you spoken to groups who would say, yeah, we'll do that?
Yeah, I mean, I play on the club lacrosse team here, and we have to raise money year-round. So if I had an outlet where I could have other people essentially raise money for me, that's something I would absolutely get on board with. And then you can go to high schools or whole school systems and use them as a base because they have people of all age groups, all different interests, and they're going to go home and tell their parents, hey, this is how you can help us
Yes,
out.
I'm just thinking a little further out on this, but, for example, your grandparents, let's say if I'm a grandparent, which I'm not, I live in California, and they should be able to have access. They, my grandson plays, for UNH or, hockey.
Right.
I want to donate to UNH. So you should have localized is what I'm
So,
saying.
yeah.
You should have the ability to access it anywhere in the country and you say, you know, grandma, your grandpa, why don't you donate to my group? And they'll be, oh, next time I go to the store, I'll do that. So I think
Yeah, you could
you
do
learn
that
that
easily
ability.
with the zip code, so even if I'm out west
Okay,
and I want to
yeah,
donate
you
to
wanna-
my hometown in Arlington or outside of Boston.
Well, you set it that way, the
Yeah.
settings one,
Yeah,
every
you
time
set
you
it.
buy something,
Good.
something would pop up.
And I think originally, like, starting local is just gonna be able to let us see kind of where we need to work on things. Like, I feel like if we go local, it's not gonna be profitable right away, obviously. It's just gonna promote the community growing and kind of staying together. And I think once people see how good it is for a community, that's when it's gonna really take off and kind of expand.
You guys should
into
always be
places.
thinking ahead, because
Yeah.
if you start a business, you know,
Yeah.
growth is very important,
Yeah.
and you have to find ways of continuing
So
to grow.
who else is doing this?
There's GoFundMe, which is, you have something going on and you try to get your community behind it. That's mainly online. I guess a competitor would be Acorn, like I said, where that change goes into your stock portfolio. And then there's an app, it's in Europe, it's called Tinbox, and that's like a chance for people to go on and they donate $1, but it comes out of a local business, not their own pocket, which is kind of interesting and like a similar concept, but there's no one, it's just essentially what it is it's a modernization of canning, like
Right.
standing outside of Dunkin' Donuts with your football jersey on, begging for money. That's
Well, that's having the bet, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
No
a-
more kids
It's a
coming
great
out of
opportunity.
there.
I think it could be a very big business, but I think you've got to take it much more serious and think about where could it be in 5 years and look at how do you get there.
Yeah.
Because this is, there's no IP here, there's no moat you can build. If you want to be successful at it, you've got to get out there first and fast.
Yeah.
You create the brand, like GoPro, right? You just gotta
Right.
get the name out there, and then when a competitor starts coming up, and
And
as long as you're up there, number one, right?
we wish we could have had like more solid financial projections, but it's just pretty complex at this point.
We should focus on that.
Yeah, not-
If you're ever looking for money, that's. we're
Yeah,
just
we
talking-
do.
They don't care, they're not gonna hear anything of this, they're gonna be like, okay, how much are you need, how much are you gonna make, how much are you gonna pay me back, when are you gonna pay me back?
What's my return?
Yeah, which raises strategy, right? I mean, there's a lot additional,
Yeah,
not at this forum, but you just gotta think through a lot of that stuff.
Being low cost, we figure we might not even need like a VC partner to get us off the ground. It
Well,
definitely
you want
help.
one eventually, though.
Yeah, you would want one just for like growth and whatnot.
If you want to do it, around here and do 10, 15 communities, you don't need a VC.
Yeah.
You want to really go national, you're going to need some significant money. Distribution and getting the word out is going to be very, very costly.